of passage may be directly perceived. Otherwise it is a matter of judgment and inference. The situations of a sense object are not conditioned by any such conditions, either of uniqueness or of continuity. In any durations, however small, a sense object may have any number of situations separated from each other. Thus two situations of a sense object, either in the same duration or in different durations, are not necessarily connected by any continuous passage of events which are also situations of that sense object. The characters of the conditioning events involved in the ingression of a sense object into nature can be largely expressed in terms of the physical objects which are situated in those events. In one respect this is also a tautology, for the physical object is nothing else than the habitual concurrence of a certain set of sense objects in one situation. Accordingly, when we know all about the physical object, we thereby know its component sense objects. But a physical object is a condition for the occurrence of sense objects, other than those which are its components. For example, the atmosphere causes the events which are its situations to be active conditioning events in the transmission of sound. A mirror, which is itself a physical object, is an active condition for the situation of a patch of color behind it, due to the reflection of light in it. Thus, the origin of scientific knowledge is the endeavor to express in terms of physical objects the various roles of events as active conditions in the ingression of sense objects into nature. It is in the progress of this investigation that scientific objects emerge. They embody those aspects of the character of the situations of the physical objects which are most permanent and are expressible without reference to a multiple relation, including a percipient event. Their relations to each other are also characterized by a certain simplicity and uniformity. Finally, the characters of the observed physical objects and sense objects can be expressed in terms of these scientific objects. In fact, the whole point of the search for scientific objects is the endeavor to obtain this simple expression of the characters of events. These scientific objects are not themselves merely formulae for calculation, because formulae must refer to things in nature, and the scientific objects are the things in nature to which the formulae refer. A scientific object, such as a definite electron, is a systematic correlation of the characters of all events throughout all nature. It is an aspect of the systematic character of nature. The electron is not merely where its charge is. The charge is the quantitative character of certain events due to the ingression of the electron into nature. The electron is its whole field of force. Namely, the electron is the systematic way in which all events are modified as the expression of its ingression. The situation of an electron in any small duration may be defined as that event which has the quantitative character which is the charge of the electron. We may, if we please, term the mere charge the electron. But then another name is required for the scientific object, which is the full entity which concerns science, and which I have called the electron. According to this conception of scientific objects, the rival theories of action at a distance and action by transmission through a medium are both incomplete expressions of the true process of nature. The stream of events which form the continuous series of situations of the electron is entirely self-determined, both as regards having the intrinsic character of being the series of situations of that electron, and as regards the time systems with which its various members are cogredient, in the flux of their positions and the corresponding durations. This is the foundation of the denial of action at a distance, namely, the progress of the stream of situations of a scientific object can be determined by an analysis of the stream itself. On the other hand, the ingression of every electron into nature modifies to some extent the character of every event. Thus the character of the stream of events which we are considering bears marks of the existence of every other electron throughout the universe. If we like to think of the electrons as being merely what I call their charges, then the charges act at a distance, but this action consists in the modification of the situation of the other electron under consideration. This conception of a charge acting at a distance is a wholly artificial one. The conception which most fully expresses the character of nature is that of each event as modified by the ingression of each electron into nature. The ether is the expression of this systematic modification of events throughout space and throughout time. The best expression of the character of this modification is for physicists to find out. My theory has nothing to do with that and is ready to accept any outcome of physical research. The connection of objects with space requires elucidation. Objects are situated in events. The relation of situation is a different relation for each type of object, and in the case of sense objects it cannot be expressed as a two-termed relation. It would perhaps be better to use a different word for these different types of the relation of situation. It has not, however, been necessary to do so for our purposes in these lectures. It must be understood, however, that when situation is spoken of, some one definite type is under discussion, and it may happen that the argument may not apply to situation of another type. In all cases, however, I use situation to express a relation between objects and events, and not between objects and abstractive elements. There is a derivative relation between objects and spatial elements, which I call the relation of location. And when this relation holds, I say that the object is located in the abstractive element. In this sense, an object may be located in a moment of time, in a volume of space, an area, a line, or a point. There will be a peculiar type of location corresponding to each type of situation, and location is in each case derivative from the corresponding relation of situation in a way which I will proceed to explain. Also, location in the timeless space of some time system is a relation derivative from location in instantaneous spaces of the same time system. Accordingly, location in an instantaneous space is the primary idea which we have to explain. Great confusion has been occasioned in natural philosophy by the neglect to distinguish between the different types of objects, the different types of situation, the different types of location, and the difference between location and situation. It is impossible to reason accurately in the vague concerning objects and their positions without keeping these distinctions in view. An object is located in an abstractive element when an abstractive set belonging to that element can be found such that each event belonging to that set is a situation of the object. It will be remembered that an abstractive element is a certain group of abstractive sets, and that each abstractive set is a set of events. This definition defines the location of an element in any type of abstractive element. In this sense, we can talk of the existence of an object at an instant, meaning thereby its location in some definite moment. It may also be located in some spatial element of the instantaneous space of that moment. A quantity can be said to be located in an abstractive element when an abstractive set belonging to the element can be found such that the quantitative expressions of the corresponding characters of its events converge to the measure of the given quantity as a limit when we pass along the abstractive set toward its converging end. By these definitions, location in elements of instantaneous spaces is defined. These elements occupy corresponding elements of timeless spaces. An object located in an element of an instantaneous space will also be said to be located at that moment in the timeless element of the timeless space which is occupied by that instantaneous element. It is not every object which can be located in a moment. An object which can be located in